Hi, I'm Andy and welcome back to a Watch Crave video. Today, we'll be having a look at a watch that has been gaining a lot of popularity lately, the San Martin SN0144. Now, this watch was released in the second half of 2024 and is one of San Martin's original designs. For those who don't know about San Martin, they are a watch brand headquartered in the Guangdong region of China. San Martin is pretty well known for offering great looking and well-built homage watches for an affordable price. Since a couple of years ago, they've been experimenting with original designs, and this watch is one of their latest creations. According to San Martin, the inspiration for this watch, particularly the dial, came from ancient Chinese porcelain for more than 1,000 years ago. In terms of variations, San Martin offers the watch in various dial colors and case sizes. The core release consists of 3 dial colors: light blue, orange, and red. You then have 3 options for the case sizes: the original 39mm case size, the smaller 36mm, and a bigger 42mm. Recently, they've added a few new colors to the lineup. We've got green, purple, grey, and black with gilt indices. These new colors also come with the 3 case size options. The watch in this video is the 36mm light blue variation. For the price, as of this video, the SN0144 can be found on San Martin's official AliExpress page and other redistributors for around just a bit over $300. I got mine on the 11/11 sales last year for a bit under $300, so I would recommend waiting for a sale to get the best price. For the packaging, I got mine from the San Martin official store, and this is what came with the watch. First is a thin white outer box, then we've got the San Martin signature green letter box, along with the guarantee card, instruction manual, and tools for resizing the bracelet. Moving on to the specs and dimensions. I only have the 36mm version, so I can only confirm the measurements for that, but I'll put the advertised measurements for all 3 versions as well for reference. The watch has a diameter of 36mm, excluding the crown. For the thickness, I measured it to be 10.2mm, just over 10mm thick. The lug width is 19mm, and the lug-to-lug distance is 42.8mm. For the watch glass, the watch is equipped with a flat sapphire crystal with clear AR coating. The water resistance is rated at 100 meters. Since the watch has a screw-down crown, I reckon it should be fine to take it underwater. With a few links removed to size down for my 6.2-inch wrist, the watch weighs in at 118 grams. For the movement, this watch is powered by the Miyota 9015 caliber. Produced by Miyota, a subsidiary of Citizen Watch Group, the 9015 caliber is a mid-range workhorse automatic movement. It has a beat rate of 4 Hz or 28,800 beats per hour and boasts a power reserve of around 42 hours. The movement also has second hacking and a quick set date feature. A standout feature of this movement is this remarkable thickness at only 3.9mm, which is thinner than the popular Swiss ETA 2824 movement at 4.6mm and much thinner than the entry-level Seiko 4R35's movement at 5.3mm. This slimness helps in reducing the overall thickness of the watch case, which explains why the San Martin SN0144 measures at just over 10mm in thickness. Now, in terms of accuracy, Citizen claims an accuracy of -10 to +30 seconds per day for this caliber, and for this particular watch, I measured it running at an impressive +3 to 4 seconds per day over a period of a week. Pretty impressive, I must say. Next up, let's have a look at the watch exterior and design. For the case, the top and sides are brush finish and there's a chamfered edge running in between. On top of the case, we have a sloped bezel with a similar finishing pattern, brushed on top and sides, along with a chamfered edge in between. One aspect I'm not a fan of is the crystal, specifically the edge. San Martin went with a flat watch crystal that's slightly raised above the bezel, and there's this bevel edge that's not quite translucent enough. It's totally nitpicking, but this small aspect bugs me every time I look at the watch. I'm not sure if it's possible to polish the glass to make it more transparent or not, but I would like to see San Martin make some improvements on this small detail. The other solution would be to use a dome crystal or add a small polish ring at the edge of the bezel to give off the illusion of clarity via reflection. It's a trick that Seiko does pretty well with their watches. Turning over to the back of the case, there's this nice rounded and polished edge at the bottom of the flanks. Normally a lot of San Martin watches have somewhat uncomfortable edges on the side, but thanks to this nice rounded edge, it feels really nice to the touch and also very nice on the wrist. One thing I do have to point out is that while San Martin has certainly made a great improvement with this rounded edge, the lugs still feel quite sharp and pointy. As for the caseback, we've got a very nice looking caseback instead of the usual sterile one. The center of the caseback is decorated with the San Martin logo in an ancient style Chinese script, and we've got a bit of decorated text in the surrounding. For the crown, we have a coin edge style screw down crown. The crown has the diameters of around 6mm and is signed with a San Martin hexagon logo. The crown is easy to grip and operate, and the unlocking and locking actions feels really smooth. For the bracelet, we got a 3-link styles bracelet. All links, including the end links, are solid. The end links are also male style end links, which increase the total length of the watch to 47.2mm. The top and flanks of the links are brush polished, and there's some nice chamfer edges between the links connections. The bracelet is unfortunately quite limited in terms of top articulation. However, it does taper nicely from 19mm down to 16mm. Overall, it's a really nice looking bracelet, but it's so goddamn sharp. The back of the bracelet doesn't have that nice rounded edge like the case, so it doesn't feel very smooth. This is actually fine with me. However, the tips of the links are very pointy, which in turn makes the bracelet feel rather uncomfortable to handle. If you're like me and like to fiddle with the watch from time to time, then you might not enjoy fiddling with this watch. As for the clasp, we've got a beautifully finished push button clasp, brushed on the top and side with a chamfered edge running in between, similar to the rest of the watch. The clasp is milled and signed with the San Martin logo. Unlike the bracelet, its edges are quite smooth and are pleasant to the touch. While there are no micro adjustment holes, the clasp offers a better on-the-fly adjustable mechanism. To use this mechanism, you simply lift up the link and push or pull the bracelet along the track. From what I can see, there are a total of 6 adjustment positions, so no one should have any issues with getting a perfect fit. One thing to point out is that the clasp itself is quite long. I measured the length to be around 42mm. That's almost the same as the watch lugs to lug of 42.8mm, and can be a minor issue for someone with a smaller wrist. Onto the dial, we have a texture Lume dial with applied indices. The texture is unfortunately quite flat and doesn't look as good in real life as in photos and videos. For the indices, we have some very nicely polished indices with a good amount of lume applied to them in the middle. Below the 12 o'clock, we've got an applied San Martin logo. Above the 6 o'clock, we've got the automatic and water rating text printed in white. And finally, we've got a frame date window at the 6 o'clock position. The background of the date wheel is also color matched with the dial's color. Personally, I'm a big fan of this date window. The 6 o'clock position makes the dial look more symmetrical. The frame window helps the watch look more refined, and the color matching of the date wheel is also a very nice touch. For the hands, we have a set of baton watch hands for the hours and minutes. The hands are polished and applied with lume. The second hand is a needle style hand. It has a kite-shaped counterweight and also a painted red tip. The red painted portion has the same length as the indices, a very nice attention to detail aspects, I must say. Finally, at the edge of the dial, we got a minute track painted in white. Overall, the dial, especially the indices and hands, are quite well done. However, I am a bit disappointed with the dial's texture. It looks rather flat and not as outstanding as I expected. Honestly, I think it looks a bit like a cheaply printed dial. I would have preferred a simple enamel dial over this texture one, to be honest. Heck, a simple black enamel dial would be awesome, so finger crossed that San Martin will release something like that in the future. Another small thing I have to point out is the speck of dust, or perhaps it's glue, on the side of the 11 o'clock index. I actually didn't notice this until the time of making this video, so it's not a major issue. As for the lume, the indices and hands are applied with BGW9 lume. The lumes are bright and last for a good chunk of time. In terms of wrist fit, this being a 36mm watch means that it fits perfectly on my 6.2-inch wrist. I reckon if your wrist size is smaller than 6.5 inches, definitely go for the 36mm. The 39mm might look okay, but you've got that extra length from the bracelet as well, so there's a chance that it might overhang on your wrist. So what are my thoughts about this watch? Well, to be completely honest, I am a little disappointed with this watch. On paper, the watch offers a lot of specs for the money. For only $300 US, you're getting a very thin and nice looking watch with an accurate and reliable movement. The watch is also very well built and finished. San Martin's finishing is definitely on par with way more expensive Japanese and even Swiss watches. However, it's the little things that let this watch down for me. First is the bevel edge around the crystal. It's a bit too opaque for my liking and kind of cheapens the overall look of the watch. Then we've got a very pointy bracelet. It looks great, but isn't the most comfortable to touch. Finally, it's the dial. The texture is simply not as good as I had expected. This was probably the biggest letdown for me, as it was also the biggest reason for purchasing this watch. I sort of got sucked into the hype and saw too many nice pictures before buying the watch. Despite all of these very subjective cons, the SN0144 is still a great value for money timepiece. If you're looking for a thin and well-built Explorer style watch, then this is probably one of the best options out there at the moment. And that brings us to the end of this video. I'd like to thank you for making it all the way to the end. If you find the video enjoyable or helpful, please help me out by dropping a like and subscribe to the channel. As a tiny channel, I would really appreciate it. If you happen to own this particular watch, feel free to share your experience with other watch enthusiasts in the comment section below. Questions are welcome as well, and I will try my best to answer them. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.